The night the power went out, America held its breath. From the quiet streets of rural Ohio to the glowing towers of Manhattan, the lights vanished at the same moment. Screens went black, traffic signals died mid-blink, phones buzzed once, then fell silent. For the first time in decades, the country was forced into darkness together. In a small Texas town called Red Willow, Mateo Alvarez stood outside his mother's diner, staring at the empty highway. The neon sign that had buzzed above the door since the 1980s was dark, its silence louder than any noise. Inside, his mother Rosa lit candles along the counter, her hands steady despite the uncertainty pressing against the walls. "People will come," she said, more to herself than to him. "They always do when they're scared." Mateo wasn't sure. He was 24, college-educated, burdened with student debt, and home again after his tech startup in Austin collapsed. He had come back thinking it was temporary. Red Willow, with its dusty roads and familiar faces, felt like a past he had already outgrown. Now, as the power outage stretched from minutes into hours, the town seemed suspended in time. Cars began to appear, rolling slowly, cautiously, as if afraid the darkness might swallow them. Families stepped inside the diner, drawn by the warm candlelight and the smell of coffee Rosa brewed on a gas stove. Strangers sat shoulder to shoulder, talking in low voices. No one had updates. No one knew how long it would last. Hundreds of miles away, in Brooklyn, Aisha Thompson climbed the stairs to her apartment on the 7th floor, groceries heavy in her arms. The elevator was useless, the hallway lit only by emergency lights. She was a nurse, fresh off a double shift, exhausted beyond words. Her phone had no signal, no news, just silence. When she reached her floor, she found her neighbors gathered in the hallway. Someone had opened their door and invited everyone to sit, sharing candles and bottled water. Aisha hesitated. In 3 years of living there, she barely knew their names. "Come on in," an older man said, smiling. "No point being alone tonight." She set down her bags and joined them. Stories began to flow, about childhoods, lost jobs, parents far away. Without screens to retreat into, people listened. For the first time in a long while, Aisha felt something loosen in her chest. Back in Red Willow, Mateo noticed a teenage girl crying quietly at a corner table. She wore a varsity jacket, her face pale in the candlelight. He brought her a glass of water. "My dad's stuck on the road," she said. "He was driving back from Dallas. I can't reach him." Mateo swallowed. He had no answers, only presence. "He'll find somewhere safe," he said gently. People help each other in moments like this. As if on cue, a trucker stood up and announced he was heading east at dawn, once it was safe, and would keep an eye out. Others chimed in, offering spare rooms, phone chargers powered by car batteries, whatever they had. The diner became a shelter, not by plan, but by instinct. By morning, the outage was all anyone talked about. News trickled in through battery radios. It wasn't an attack, or a war, or a foreign enemy. It was failure, old infrastructure stretched too thin, finally giving way. Repairs would take days, maybe longer. In Los Angeles, filmmaker Jonah Reed filmed the sunrise from his rooftop, the city unusually quiet. No traffic hum, no distant sirens, just wind and light. He had been struggling for months, pitching scripts that studios rejected as too real or not marketable. Now, watching neighbors wave to each other across rooftops, he felt an idea taking shape. He started filming everything: people sharing food, musicians playing acoustic sets on sidewalks, kids drawing with chalk in the streets. When the internet flickered back in some areas, his short clips spread fast. Millions watched, hungry for something genuine. In Brooklyn, Aisha volunteered at a makeshift clinic set up in a community center. Without electronic records or automated systems, medicine returned to basics: touch, observation, trust. She worked alongside doctors she'd only known by name, janitors who organized supplies, teenagers who guided patients with flashlights. "This feels different," a fellow nurse said quietly. "Harder, but real." In Red Willow, Mateo found himself waking before dawn, helping his mother cook meals for anyone who showed up. He fixed a broken generator with an old mechanic who taught him more in an hour than any online tutorial ever had. For the first time since his startup failed, he didn't feel useless. Days passed. Power returned in waves, not all at once. When it finally came back to Red Willow, the diner lights flickered on, drawing cheers and applause. Yet something had shifted. People lingered longer. They talked more. They remembered what it felt like to rely on each other. Weeks later, Jonah's short film, stitched together from footage across the country, went viral. It didn't have explosions or villains. It showed candlelit dinners, shared laughter, quiet courage. It showed America not as a headline, but as a collection of human moments. The title was simple: When the Lights Went Out. Mateo watched it on his phone, sitting at the diner counter after closing. His mother wiped her hands on her apron, eyes shining. "That's us," she said softly. "That's what we forgot." Aisha saw it too. After a long shift, tears slipping down her cheeks as she recognized her own hallway, her own neighbors. She realized she no longer felt invisible in the city. She felt connected. The power outage faded into history, replaced by new crises, new arguments, new noise. But something remained. Community groups formed, local diners thrived, neighbors kept doors open a little longer. America didn't change overnight, but for a moment, long enough to matter, it remembered itself.